How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, aka Slammerella, and this video is going to be sort of a Jesse Talks Metal video. I haven't done one in probably over a year, however long it was on this channel, and if anyone liked the series, I apologize if you've been waiting for another one. Maybe we'll consider this one. So I guess this Jesse Talks Metal is about being in a metal band, or just bands in general. So, what inspired this episode? This is going to be totally winged, by the way. So, if it sucks and this video is shitty, my apologies. But I feel like I needed to talk about it, so here we are. So, anyways, the reason why this video is being made is because I've been recently thinking about getting back into a band again, and kind of been reminiscing in my head about past bands and thinking about how they went, how long they went, the dynamics of all the people involved in them, and kind of what I want for my band in the future. Now, as you know, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, I've been in numerous different bands for long periods of time and really short periods of time, depending on how well they worked out or didn't work out. So getting back into the frame of mind of wanting to be in a band again, I actually want to be in a full membered band. You guys probably know about a few of my solo projects, Drakir, Slammerella, The Lonely Cadaver, a couple others, but I want to be in a full membered band again. And now that this pandemic is slowing down and people are actually allowed to be around each other, and the paranoia of getting sick and ill from this corona bullshit is slowly dying down again, I would like to make this thing possibly happen. And what I want out of this band and don't want out of this band is a couple of things that I've been thinking about. So in the past, a few things that have kind of made my projects fall apart or not last so long were, one, the motivation. I think some people's motivation for the project dwindles, or the motivation for that specific genre that we were writing in dwindles, and they feel like they're no longer into it. They no longer need to be present as much, whether that be physically or mentally, and they just either leave or they start kind of goofing off and not really respecting the band itself or the process or the other members. Another thing that I noticed was that depending on who is in your project, there are a lot of conflicting ideas of what should be in it. Obviously, in metal, there's a lot of preferences. One band member might like thrash a little bit more, one band member might like black metal a little bit more, etc., etc. Death metal, groove metal, if you want to consider that a thing, you know. So yeah, each band member might have a preference or lean more towards one genre over the other. I know in a couple of my other projects, that was definitely a thing where it was basically creative differences is what kind of was one of the nails in the coffin for that project. One of them didn't like breakdowns, one of them preferred more black metal, one of them wanted a certain tuning over another, like they wanted A over drop C, or they wanted more input for themselves but still didn't put forth the effort half the time for their efforts to be included. Like they would want to have a song completely written by them, either lyrics or guitar wise, but then would sit on like one riff and maybe a verse for 6 months and not do anything more with it, and then feel butthurt that they weren't getting properly represented in the band, and would just kind of have passive aggressive tendencies because of it, etc. That was definitely one thing that would kind of start slowly making the band not as cohesive as it could be, which also ties into another issue when you're in a band, or like a metal band or whatever, and that is ego. A lot of times ego comes into play. One member thinks they're way more important than the rest of the members. They kind of forget that in order for this project to work, all gears in the machine need to work equally together in order to reach the same goal. And if one part of the machine starts thinking it's more important than the others, the equality and the natural flow of things kind of breaks down, and then heads start to get butted. Yeah. So that's another thing. A lot of ego needs to be put to the side, and the main goal of the band needs to be considered over that for sure. Another thing that can put another nail in the coffin of your band or project is money. A lot of issues stem from money or lack thereof when it comes to your project. And not every one of your band members are going to be loaded. In fact, most of them are probably going to be working some shitty dead end job just so you guys can rent out a space to actually have a place to jam. Because I know a big problem is space. Like, can you practice in your garage, your bedroom, spare room? Do you have neighbors that are going to be complaining about the loud noise? Does everyone's schedule line up to meet there at the same time? So having money to be able to rent a rehearsal hall or space or a jam room is important. But sometimes, again, people are just scraping by or in between jobs and can't afford their share to, pay for said jam room. And if that becomes a problem, that's only going to throw a wrench into the gears too. So let's say you're the member of the band that has the most money and you can afford a little bit more to keep the project going. You kind of got to think to yourself, well, what's more important? The project going forward and me putting a little extra towards the jam room, or is my ego and my self-worth gonna throw a wrench into the works and get rid of key members that make this thing work? Now, of course, you do want, in a perfect world, everyone contributing equally and fairly, and you don't want one guy paying 50 or 75% while the others get to skim by and not pay anything. But again, you have to think about what's more important for the project, and are these people skimping out on purpose, or do they just happen to be in a situation in life where they just can't afford to pay the full thing? So that's the other thing that comes into play when it goes towards making a project work and working with other musicians and stuff like that. There's a lot of contributing factors in making the dream work and being a part of the team in the band. Another thing that I've noticed in the music scene and metal scene is there are scenarios where certain band members have friends that are in the music scene outside of your band that may form, I don't know, it like some weird hidden alliances and have their own kind of agenda. And for whatever reason, the outside sources of the band might whisper negativity and rumors or stir the pot unnecessarily because they are either jealous or they don't want to see a certain member in your band succeed, or they are trying to maybe convince you to get a member in your band that's maybe a little bit more socially accepted for whatever reason. There are little things in the music scene, especially in the metal scene, that I've noticed that are a little underhanded, a little snaky, and a little kind of high school mentality. I don't know why these things exist, and if you happen to encounter things like this in your scene, I don't know how to advise you to deal with it. But if the people are coming to you and trying to put down a member of your band, or if they're trying to tell you to get rid of them, or if they're trying to make you seem embarrassed to have that person in your band simply because that person doesn't like them or doesn't have the same opinion or thinks they're cringy or something like that, you probably want to get rid of the person doing those whisperings in your ear, because they're not helping you succeed. They're not helping your band move forward. And if it just comes to a matter of difference of opinion, a dick swinging contest, or some sort of popularity thing, then it's best to just ignore that shit, because that can definitely creep in and tear apart your band. And if you like music and if you want to do shows and create albums, you can't have outside sources like that poisoning your mind and ruining your projects. So that's another thing for sure. You want to keep open communication within your band too. You don't want sides being taken. You don't want like secret alliances being made behind your back or behind your other bandmates' backs. You want to bond and be there as a team and be able to tell each other if anything's wrong. You want to be able to bring up any problems you may have and solve them, or at least try to compromise as best as you can. So again, you guys can all work towards your same goal, because at the end of the day, you're all musicians that want your art heard and to have fun and play it live and record it probably. It's best that communication is at the top of your priorities. That's another thing too. When you're creating your band at the very beginning, you want to make sure everyone is on the same page. If you're looking to create just a strictly black metal project and you don't want any death metal influences, or you don't want any doom influences or thrash influences, you just want a strictly straightforward black metal band, you might want to discuss that at length with the rest of the people involved and make sure everyone is feeling the same. Otherwise, it's probably not going to work out in the future, because if you can smooth talk them into doing it now, it might change later on down the road when they're really not feeling it and they want to do more of a thrash route, or maybe they want to do more of a doomy route and slow things down a bit, or maybe they want to add like a death metal route and down tune your guitars more and add some growls or breakdowns or something. You really want to establish what the sound of the band is going forward to make sure everyone's on board and make sure there's no humming and hawing about it, because that humming and hawing now can turn into a member leaving the band or causing problems or seeking out another band and have their ears being whispered into by the scene. So make sure everyone's on board, that's for sure. I didn't really plan on this turning into a how to form a band or how to deal with being in a metal band advice video, but maybe it is. With all that being said, I'm going to talk about what I would like in my band going forward, if I can form one, of course, in this day and age and my area. What I would like is just a blanket metal band for sure, just as long as we can all decide on what we want to play and the genre and extended genres we would like to incorporate into the music. That's fine with me. I'm probably leaning more towards, at the time, thrash, because I've been into thrash for probably almost a year now, like really into it, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Of course, I don't mind maybe a sprinkling of a little bit of death metal elements here or there, like Death itself or maybe 6 Feet Under stuff. I've always been a fan of both those projects. I would also be okay to some black metal elements, as I still really enjoy black metal. It's my second or third favorite genre at the moment when it comes to metal. So even that's cool. I've recently been kind of looking forward to the new Megadeth and Metallica albums, as I recently found enjoyment in Megadeth again. I, for whatever reason, decided to sell all of my Megadeth forever ago. I'm pretty sure, all of the discography up until The System Has Failed or United Abominations, and then I sold it all. Idiot. Definitely shouldn't have done that, because now I'm going back and rebuying all the albums again. Recently picked up Countdown to Extinction and Rust in Peace. You probably noticed the Rust in Peace shirt in the last video. Yeah, those are the kind of genres I'm looking to do with this new project. If anyone is interested, obviously hit me up on one of my social media links and we can talk about it and see what position you're interested in. I'd probably be more interested in the guitar or vocals, maybe both. That's what I'm thinking of, we would obviously need a drummer and a bass player. If someone wants to do vocals that is better than mine, cool. Mine aren't the greatest vocals in the world, I know that. I just like yelling into a mic, so there's that. So other than the genre and position in the band that I would like, I would also like to have kind of a similar mindset where we're motivated to practice and get together once or twice a week to jam somehow, and not necessarily maybe make songs up separate from the band and then bring it to the table and then show the person and then go from there. It'd be nice to just get in the room and jam it out and see what comes of it and talk about what riffs or direction we want to go, what maybe lyrical content we want to focus on. I also want to talk about maybe goals for the project moving forward. Do we want to get on stage as quick as possible? So do we want to make 5 to 6 songs as quickly as possible so that we have 20 minutes or 30 minutes for a set time and get out there and start performing again? Or are we working more towards just recording a demo or an EP first and then think about getting on stage? Just talking about that stuff and figuring out what similar goals we have as the band or as the musicians, and what really do we want to do and where do we want to take the project. And I also want to make sure that everyone is aware that money isn't the goal. Money isn't going to be a problem and separate people and cause fighting or anything like that, because it's annoying when money gets put on the table as an issue or a problem or something that could divide the project. We should all agree that we're not going to let that be a problem. Whoever in the project has the most money to spare would obviously be the one that would probably have to chip out the most. Everyone else would just have to do what they can. If that ends up being me that has to fork out the most, fine. If that ends up being the drummer or the bass player or the singer or whatever, hopefully they can be as understanding as I would be about it, because that doesn't need to be a thing. I feel like if you're going to be in a band, it should be for fun and to get out there and create something and just, get out of your house, or if you're the band member that has the space, get together with the rest of the band and just be in that of mind, like that frame of mind, to just go in there, create, enjoy each other's company, have fun making music, writing riffs, coming up with compositions and stuff. That's just kind of the vibe I want to get from it. Also, the last thing I want to say about being in a band is that people have lives outside of the band, and you have to hopefully respect that. Some people in the band have families and kids that they have to tend to, and they have to make sure that everything's in order there first. 9 times out of 10, your bandmates are probably going to have jobs or side hustles or whatever bringing in the money. The band isn't going to fund itself, so you're going to have to respect people's work schedules and stuff like that, and just try to be as accommodating as possible. That means no bickering over schedules. Just try to fit it in when you can. Make sure everyone is motivated, though, to get to band practice once or twice a week. If everyone has time for what they want, if they make time for it, you just gotta prioritize what's important in your life. And if being a musician and writing music is important in your life, you'll schedule time for it. You'll take time out of your busy day and your busy schedule to show up and get together with everyone. That shouldn't be a problem. So anyways, I think I've rambled long enough about this. Let me know if there's anything that you think I should have covered about being in a metal band and what expectations are for it, and maybe let me know in the comment section what your expectations for being in a metal band are. Do you have a preference to what metal genre you would like your project to be? If you aren't a musician, what instrument would you like to play if you could ever be in a band? Let me know what any of your projects are. If you're currently in any musical projects, solo projects even is cool. Let me know your experience. If you were in projects that didn't work out, let me know what was the big factor that led to that project or band's demise. it'd be interesting to discuss that in the comment section. And again, if you're interested in trying to start this metal project with me, I've got tons of links in the description box. Hit me up on one of those if you're serious, of course. If you're not serious about it and you're nowhere near Ontario, Oshawa, Canada, then it's probably not going to work. So if you're in Australia or England or fucking South America or the States even, it's probably not going to work. So if you contact me, hopefully you're in Durham region or it can make trips down from Toronto to Oshawa. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching this episode of Jesse Talks Metal, being in a band, being in a metal band episode. Cheers. For glory, for the rebellion, Slammerella out.